Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Bloom with Dr. Mahen. So today this video is specially dedicated for those who love to come to Australia, work as a doctor here. In this little video, I'm not going to talk about all the pathways to come, what you need, what exams. We'll talk about all those in a different video because there's lots of content going into it. There is some background work for me to do as well before actually, because I want you to get the most accurate information in that video. So today, what I will talk about is how about the work environment in Australia, in Australian hospitals, and what challenges that you have to face to find jobs here, and also how much your work-life balance would be and how much you earn. So those are the most, interesting things that we're going to talk about in this little video, and also a little bit of information about my experience. Actually, it is all based on my experience because I've been working here for the last 10 years. So, okay, for those who don't know me, I'm Dr. Mahen, and I work as an emergency medicine senior registrar in one of the tertiary hospitals in Perth, Western Australia. So I started working in 2011, and my journey begins from 2011, actually not 2011, from 2010. So before that, I graduated in University of Colombo, Sri Lanka. I did my MBBS there, and then started my internship in one of the small hospitals in down south region, which is closer to my home. I thought it's going to be fine, but the experience that I had working as an intern over there, I now see the people who actually do internship here, the Australian medical graduates, and I was comparing myself to them, and I was thinking how lucky they are, how well supported they are, and how nice all the bosses towards them, and how supportive, how lucky to work as an intern in Australia. Because my experience, sad to say, was not the best, and it is actually really sad to say. I hope things would have changed over the last 10-11 years compared to now back home, and I hope our interns who work there and the junior doctors will have much easier lifestyle over there at the moment. Because when I worked there, I hated every single day of my intern journey over there, because the working environment was less supported, very hostile. You get to work with very toxic people, and it is less enjoyable. And please don't get angry with me, anyone who watched this video from Sri Lanka. That is my personal experience, and I have no hard feelings towards the people who treated me like that in the past, and past is past. Here you are now, and I enjoy my time working here as well. Whatever we do, wherever we work, we do the same thing. We treat ill, sick people who are looking for your help, needing your help, and I'm so glad I got to work for my people in Sri Lanka at that time although you were actually going through lots of difficulties. But anyways, when I came to Australia in 2010, I took a break. So at the time my husband was working, so I didn't have any issues not working. So I took a break. I did my Australian Medical Council MCQ exam at the time when I was here, and I got through it in 2010. And I thought, okay, I got through the exam, now I will apply for jobs. So in Australia, to apply for jobs, there are a few different ways. If you are willing to work in a government hospital, the government hospitals will advertise their jobs online once every year. Those job applications are directed to interns intake, resident medical officers, and registrars, senior registrars, fellows, consultants, jobs offers. You have to do online applications for them. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna apply, and I applied. And every single application I put in got rejected. And I was heartbroken at the time. I actually cried as well. And my husband was like, come on, you came to a new country, you just passed the exam, you don't have other qualifications other than your internship, so we'll keep trying. And then I heard that you have to do like an observership, and that is a little role that you get to go into a hospital in a special ward. This observership will give you some idea how the hospital systems work, what duties that you have to perform while you're working as a doctor. You don't get paid for those observerships jobs, because it's not a job offer. It's just an offer from the hospitals that you go and have a look around, get some experience, learn the system. So I thought I'll apply for one of the observer jobs, and I sent some emails to different hospitals and finally got an observership offered to me from Sir Charles Gardner Hospital. So that was in a liver and kidney transplant unit, and I spent about 1.5 months doing that observership. I was following the interns and residents and the registrars and the consultants, join their ward rounds, watch how they work, watch how all the team works happening here. And after that, I didn't really want to wait until next year to apply for the next round of jobs. So my husband actually came up with this brilliant idea. He said, okay, let's try sending some emails for some of the hospitals, head of the departments. So we chose few hospitals. We found some email addresses through our friends who worked here at that time. And I wrote emails for them saying who I am and what I've done so far and all that. And I didn't actually expect for them to reply to me, because it was not at the correct pathway of applying for a job here. But I still did it. I've heard in the past that some people even take their CVs to hospital and hand it over to different departments, but I didn't want to go that far, so I did emailed. And then one day when I opened my email, I found this reply from one of the consultants. I really want to mention her name, but I don't think I should. And thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And she said, okay, send me your CV. So I sent it, and then in the next email, she offered me a job interview. And I was over the moon. I was so excited. At the same time, I was so nervous, because in my whole entire life, I've never faced an interview before. So I didn't know what they will ask. I didn't know what to answer, how to face an interview. But anyway, I thought I'll do it. So I went and I had an interview in this little regional hospital called Swan District Hospital. And I was so lucky, and I'm so thankful that they actually gave me a job as a resident medical officer. And that's where my entire journey started. So from there, I'm not gonna talk about my entire journey, and that's how actually I found a job. So what I wanted to tell you is there are different methods that you can apply for a job in Australia. For those who work in Sri Lanka, if you have done your ANC Part 1, while working in Sri Lanka or any other country, you can apply for jobs in Australia. To be informative, those who actually are graduated and practicing in the UK or Ireland, or maybe Canada, they don't have to do AMC exams because they have these specific agreements that those doctors can come and work in Australia. And I'm not actually talking about that aspect, but I'm talking about the people who are Sri Lankans, Indians, Pakistanians, or other countries. Those people who wish to come here and work as a doctor in Australia. So, yes, we were talking like they advertise their jobs every year. And if you want to work in a government hospital, you can apply. For those who have done their ANC Part 1 exam, can apply for job offers while you are in Sri Lanka or India or Pakistan or anywhere else. So then if you are lucky and if you get a job offer, you can actually come to Australia because you now have a job offer. And once you come here, then they will process your details and everything. And this AFRA, that's the registration, doctors registration related body in Australia, the AFRA, they will give you limited registration or provisional registration, and then you have to pass your AMC Part 2 exam, which is a clinical exam, and then you have to work certain period of time in Australia, certain subspecialties, and then you will get your general registration. So that's the normal process of a normal international medical graduate who want to come and work in Australia. So now we'll talk about the work environment and the work system. So here in Western Australia, because I have only worked in Western Australia, I worked in emergency departments and ICU, anesthetics, neurosurgery, and gen med and pediatrics. So those are the subspecialties that I have done here. And as a resident medical officer, I worked in the emergency department mainly, and I did a few months of pediatrics, general pediatrics ward, and gen med and neurosurgery, and that's about it. So others jobs that I did in ICU and anesthetics and pediatrics ED are all as a registrar. So your role as a resident medical officer is to, you get to, in emergency department, you have to see your patients who actually come through those doors, and you have to assess them, examine them, thorough examination, thorough history, and come up with your differential diagnosis, initiate some treatments relevant to the presentation of your patient, and then you have to come up with a plan. And each and every patient that you see, you must discuss with your registrar or your consultant or your senior registrar. So that's the normal process of emergency department resident medical officer or an intern. So if you work in a ward, all that you get to do is participate in your ward rounds, do the jobs which are discussed in your ward round with your consultant and your team, and organize all the investigations, medications and everything, put some drips if they need, request radiology, and do discharge paperwork, and participate in morbidity mortality meetings and other journal clubs and stuff like that. So that's the major things that you get to do as a resident medical officer. And when you cover this, when you do these ward jobs, you get to work after hours as well. So the after hours jobs are very lengthy. Normally the resident medical officers and interns in the wards, they start at 8 o'clock and they finish at 5 o'clock. But if you do an after hour job in a weekday, you probably get to work from 8 to like 10:30 or 11:30 in the night, and that doesn't come up all the time. It's once in a while job. And you get to work as a night doctor as well, covering the hospital ward jobs. for a doctor who is working as a resident medical officer in an emergency department is a different story. So we work, or they work, only 10 hours. In some emergency departments you get to work 12-hour shifts as well, but for us in our emergency department, if you're an intern, RMO, or resident medical officer, or a registrar or senior registrar, it doesn't matter, you work 10 hours. Consultants also work only 10 hours. So if you, the shifts will be from 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 1:30 to 11:30, 10:30 to night to 8:30 the next morning. And those are the normal work hours, and all the doctors only work 40 hours per week. That is 80 hours per fortnight, because you get paid every 80 hours or every fortnight. So those are the work hours that actually normally happens in Australian hospitals. So if you talk about the work environment, it is very nice, to be honest. Everyone works in a team. You become part of a big team. Especially in ED, teamwork is the key. So you get to work with your interns, other residents, registrars, consultants, nursing staff, allied health staff who are physiotherapists, occupational therapists, speech, pathology, and advanced physios, nurse practitioners, HSAs. So it's a big team that work together in ED, including the ward clerks as well. So you get to work in this team environment, and it is very, very well supported. Compared to what I practiced in Sri Lanka, it is not a very supportive work environment. Sometimes you're left by yourself without no much support, with massive, horrendous workload ahead of you, waiting for you, and you're stressing and crying inside. But here, there is somebody. If you struggle, there will be someone to help you. Someone, at least a nurse, would help you if you ask nicely. So everyone has to be nice to each other, supportive to each other, and bullying and toxic people are not very welcomed in this environment. So always you have to be very nice to others, and also people, the consultants, they support you, they guide you through. If you don't know, you can ask them. They're very approachable. They will help you, and most of all, the nicest thing is the senior staff are very supportive, and they wish you success. When you do well, they appreciate you, and that is one of the key things that in a workplace, that the juniors will be feeling good. You feel good when somebody appreciates you. So in the morning when you come to work, your work colleagues will say, hello, how are you doing this morning? And that gives you that kick to go to work, do your best at work. So that's how the things work here. So everybody is really helpful. And also the confidentiality. So in Australian hospitals, the confidentiality of the patient's staff is something very important, and you can't really breach somebody's confidentiality at work, and that's a no-no. So we normally never speak about your patients with other staff in front of other patients. So the information will be only disclosed to parents, relatives, or bystanders if the patient wishes to only. You can't even give the results of a husband to their wife if a husband doesn't want the wife to know their results. So the confidentiality is very important if you work here. And also say if something goes wrong and you've done a mistake, and no one in the staff, no consultant will scream at you in front of your work colleagues. They will take you to a personal space where no one can actually hear your conversation, and then have a chat to you about it if you've done any mistake or if something goes wrong, if somebody complains about you something. So that's the biggest, one of the biggest nice things that I've seen here as well. So as I told you, it's very easy to work here. All you need is to know what you're doing, be very knowledgeable, improve your skills every day, the procedural skills that you come across when you actually work in the ED or other wards, like how to cannulate, how to put a chest drain, how to intubate a person. And to be honest with you, at a resident medical officer's level, you don't get to do very sophisticated procedures on inpatients. And yes, you get to intubate sometimes if you're working ED, and it's very rare for you guys to perform that type of intervention in a ward patient, because the senior staff will be dealing with that kind of complex situations. So all you have to do know is how to do arterial blood sample, how to cannulate a patient if needed to, and also the patient's informations, you get them online and in a physical files as well. So if you want to know information, you can talk to their general practitioners, you can access their records on the online system, and it's very easy to gather information about your patients and to do things with them. So overall, working in Australia as a doctor is not a hard process, not something you can't do. You can really do, and when you get used to it, it becomes like your nature. It's very easy. And the supportive environment encourages you to perform well as well. So working hours wise, as I explained to you, the emergency medicine doctors, they always get to work 10 hours, the hours that I explained to you. If you work in a ward, you get to work from 8 to 5. Sometimes you don't get to go on time home because there are some things that you need to round up, tidy up before you leave. And if you work in ICU as a resident, you get to work 13 to 14 and a half hours as well, and depending on each and every subspecialty, the work hours can be little different, but overall the doctors only work 40 hours per week. It doesn't matter what days you work, it's only 40 hours per week. That is 80 hours per fortnight, and you get paid 80 hours per fortnight. And sometimes you get to work weekends, sometimes you'll get weekend off. And if you get to work weekends, you get paid more because you get penalty rates applied to your work hours. So now we talk about how you can apply for jobs. So I will put some links below in this video about the official websites that you can apply in different parts of Australia, different territories, and all the job applications are online. So that is for the government job applications, and also there are loads of locum websites that offers jobs, and working the normal job, and also you can work the locum jobs as well, apart from your normal government or private hospital job. And the locum jobs are paid at a very higher, like double the rate as of the government jobs or the other private hospital jobs. So for an example, if you are working as a resident medical officer in the government job, if you get paid $50 per hour, the locum agency will pay you $150 per hour. So that's the rate is about 2 to 3 times. So some people only do locum jobs here, but the problem is, you're not guaranteed that you will get jobs every time. But you can earn a lot through the locum jobs, and you can apply for those jobs through this locum websites as well. So just search medical jobs Australia and you will find loads of websites that offers jobs. So I will put some link below, as I told you earlier. And now we will talk about how much a resident medical officer would earn. So that's one of the big topics that someone would love to hear. I would have actually done it a little earlier though. So anyway, I kept it to the last minute. Your internship is your first postgraduate year, and after that it becomes your second, third and fourth, fifth, sixth postgraduate years. And the resident medical officers, their years after the internship start year 1, 2, 3. So I just checked one of the job applications a few minutes ago for resident medical officers, and they have offered for resident medical officer year 1 to year 3 jobs, which starts from 101,000 Australian dollars to 120 Australian dollars. That is a rough amount that I said, and that is before tax. So every person who earns in work in Australia, they get to pay tax. So that amount is before tax, and you get paid the amount after tax. So it depends on which tax bracket you are falling in, and it depends on the penalty rates and everything. So that is the rough idea of how much a resident medical officer would earn. And for registrars, the rates are a little higher than them. So also with their year of experience, the rates go up as well. So so those are the information that I actually wanted to talk in this little video, and I hope this will be helpful. And I encourage the people who work in Sri Lanka who has done the AUSSIE exams, just apply the jobs while you're working there, and then come here. Because it's very hard to find jobs. You just come here, then you try to find a job. It's very hard. If you get a job offer, that will be the easiest way to get here, and then complete your exams and everything. So in the next video, we will talk about different pathways, different exams, the cost of the exams and everything you guys should know. And until then, I'll say bye-bye to you and have a great week.